Happy Thanksgiving from all of us at GBS 7.
The following program has been rated TV PG and is intended for all viewers. Viewer discretion is not advised.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the MMB Productions Thanksgiving Day special. Sorry for making this late, but I started making this video on Thanksgiving. I could have started making this earlier, but I had too much college work to do, and on top of all that, I had to get my PC fixed, and I found out that the main drive, or the C drive for the tech geeks out there, was connected to the motherboard. So yeah, my PC may be built cheaply like that, but let me remind you that I had the PC for over 3 years, so, case closed on that. And with that, let's get on to the stories for today. Our first story involves the NFL and one of its teams. Hopefully the NFL doesn't copyright strike me for this. Anyways, my mom's favorite team is the Chicago Bears, and they're in the NFC North, but that's not the team I'm talking about. I'm talking about a team that once had playoff ambitions and were a contender in the early 90s, and had two great legends on that team. I am, of course, talking about the Detroit Lions and their fall from grace. I myself am a Bronco fan. But the Lions' story from their playoff appearance in 1991 to now has been one of the disappointing stories in football. So let's hop aboard the time driver and get this story started.
Time coordinates. 1991.
The Lions from 1990 took a step back and finished in third place with a disappointing 7th consecutive losing record at 6-10, as they struggled to find a consistent quarterback. But the 1991 season was going to be a step forward, starting with a draft. With the 10th pick of the first round, the Lions used average wide receiver Herman Moore. That apparently was a key piece they needed for a playoff run. They may have lost their first game against Washington. In fact, they got shut out 45-0, but they would go on to win 12 of their next 15, for a record at 12-4. Making it to the playoffs for the first time since 1983. This also marked the team's first winning season since that year. The Lions entered the 1991-92 NFL playoffs as the NFC's number 2 seed behind the number 1 seed Washington Redskins. Following wild card weekend where both the home teams lost to the away teams, Chicago to Dallas and New Orleans to Atlanta, the Cowboys were the highest remaining seed and thus earned a trip to Pontiac, Michigan to play the Lions. Dallas entered the game with an ongoing quarterback controversy. Incumbent Troy Aikman had gone down with injury earlier in the season. The backup Steve Bearline came in and led the team to the playoffs. Bearline had started in the wild card win over Chicago, and the Cowboys head coach Jimmy Johnson named him the starter for this game as well. As for the Lions, they had to battle quarterback issues of their own. Rodney Peete, Andre Ware, and Eric Kramer all spent time as the Lions quarterback. After Peete went down, it was Kramer who emerged as the starter and would start this playoff game as well. Despite not having a franchise quarterback, the Lions had a lot to feel good about going into this game. Star running back Barry Sanders, Grim Moore, Brett Perriman, Lomas Brown and Kevin Glover gave them plenty of talent on offense, while Chris Spielman, Ray Crockett and Benny Blades were the stars on defense. The most exciting storyline going into the game was Barry Sanders going up against Cowboys running back Emmitt Smith. From the very beginning of the game, the Lions were dominant. Since the team knew Dallas would focus on stopping Barry Sanders and the run game, Detroit gambled by focusing on Eric Kramer in the pass game instead. Dallas was not ready to defend it. After the Cowboys went 3-and-out on their first drive, Kramer drove the Lions downfield and scored on a touchdown pass to Willie Green to take a 7-0 lead. Detroit would never relinquish it, despite the Lions only putting up another 10 points before halftime. Dallas's offense couldn't find the end zone and only scored 2 field goals before the end of the second, giving Detroit an 11-point lead at halftime, and thus Bearline's day was over. Johnson inserted Bateman into the game, but he wasn't able to pick apart Detroit's defense either and wouldn't even score any points while the Lions continued to steamroll Dallas. Even with the lead, Detroit kept allowing Kramer to throw instead of turning to Sanders, and it paid off as he completed 29 out of 38 passes for 341 yards and 3 touchdowns, helping Detroit to a 38-6 victory. This was the Lions' only playoff win of the Barry Sanders era, and as of 2018, stands as their last playoff victory. The Washington football team would then crush the Lions, 41-10, as quarterback Mark Rippon completed 12 out of 17 passes for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. Detroit quarterback Eric Crane was sacked 5 times, 3 of them by Washington linebacker Wilbur Marshall. Lions running back Barry Sanders, who rushed for 1,548 yards during the season, was held to just 44 yards on 11 carries. As of 2019, this was the first and only time that the Lions made an appearance in the NFC Championship game. After going 12-4 from the previous season, the Lions were expected to once again challenge for the NFC title, but that wasn't meant to be, as they went 5-11. A giant step back despite another Pro Bowl season from Barry Sanders, who passed Billy Sims for the franchise record in rushing on November 22. From 1993 to 1998, their records were 10-6, 9-7, 10-6, 5-11, 9-7 and 5-11. In the span of those 6 years, they made the wild card in 1993, 94, 95 and 97, only to lose in all 4 of them. 1998 also turned out to be the last season Barry Sanders would play in the NFL. They would make the wild card again in 1999 with an 8-8 season, only to lose. Their next 10 seasons were just plain awful. Their records were 9-7, 2-14, 3-13, 5-11, 6-10, 5-11, 3-13, 7-9, and embarrassing 0-16 in 2008, and 2-14 in 2009. Also in 2009, the Lions drafted quarterback Matthew Stafford from Georgia, 2 years after they drafted Calvin Johnson in 2007. 2010 was just mediocre of 6-10, but in 2011, they made the playoffs with a 10-6 record, only to lose to the Saints. They would go 4-12 in 2012, 7-9 in 2013, and would make the playoffs again in 2014 at 11-5, only to lose to a 20-Romo-led Cowboys. After a 7-9 season in 2015, they would inverse that to 9-7 the next year, only to lose to the Seahawks. They would go 9-7 the next year, but in 2018, the Lions would hire former Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia as their next head coach. This is when the Lions started imitating the Patriots and getting their old players like Danny Amendola. For example, the next 2 seasons were utter failures. 6-10 in 2018 and 3-12-1 in 2019. So far, the Lions' 2020 season, they only won 4 of the 12 games. The last game they played was a 41-25 loss to the Texans. Pretty much the only championships Detroit won were in the pre-Super Bowl era, those being 1935, 1952, 1953, and 1957. So, all in all, what a waste. Our next story involves my current OCC semester. As of right now, the rest of the semester is now all remote. I don't know what my professors had planned for this, but hopefully it will be fun. I am also registered for the spring 2021 semester. My R224, Design for Multimedia class, is on Tuesdays from 9:05 a.m. to 12:10 p.m. and is on campus. My CIS 231, Advanced Web Servers class, is on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1:30 p.m. to 3:20 p.m. and is real-time remote. And my EMC 286, DVD Authoring class, is on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 p.m. to 3:55 p.m. and is on campus. And finally, our last story involves the new GX03 series. I know I haven't been doing anything recently with making the first episode. That is because I am in the process of making a character information guide for that series. Don't worry, the script has been completed and I will start making the episode ASAP, just as long as I don't get distracted with anything else. Well, that's all for this special. This is Brandon Germain signing off.